Welcome back to ViewMaster. We are here with Tony, John, of course, and man, I'm excited. We're gonna hop right in. We got two movies. Again, another classic. We're gonna do at the end, but first we're gonna hop into the one we just saw. Ma.
Yeah, it was a pretty good movie. It was a thriller. The setting was, I think, somewhere in Ohio, and it was about a middle-aged woman who had some troubles in high school. I don't know how to deal with that without getting too graphic. I'll probably leave you to watch the movie for that one. But she dealt with some things in high school, and pretty much you could say she was bullied and made fun of, and it affected her. So fast forward maybe 15 to 20 years later.
Yeah, and so that's why I was surprised. I mean, was what you went through in high school, right? Like, that's beyond bullying. Like, that's another step. Like, but at the same time, I wonder, like, was she planning this whole comeback the whole time, or did it just, like, fall into her lap? Like, everybody came back at the right time, and she was like, what the heck, why not?
I think that's the good thing about movies like this. It leaves you asking those questions, because it didn't really hand it to you like that in the movie. It gave you a lot of room to play the guessing game and to talk about it, because the way it was laid out, it was like, seemed like an opportune time. Like, she took an opportunity that fell in her lap.
Yeah, so let's break it down. Like, you have the one lady. It opens with this scene. Like, if you look at the opening, it looks like a car commercial. I mean, it's
right.
It's like nice music, nice scenery.
Right.
They're driving a U-Haul, not a nice car, but this lady's coming home, and then they show you the other guy out in the field. Apparently would have been the good-looking guy, whatever, in high school and stuff, and. Now he likes getting out in fields and stuff. And then you got, and then, so everyone's kind of coming together. I mean, some of them
still in the same town.
Right.
Except for Erica.
But then the rest of the crew is still coming together. And then, of course, Mercedes, I guess she wasn't really a key character, but she was here and there throughout the show.
Yeah. She was she wasn't like a key. I think she was key.
Not
like a main character, but she was
a
key to the plot that started it all.
Right.
You know what I mean? And the only one that didn't stay in town, I believe, was Erica, Maggie's mom.
Right.
Because she followed somebody to California, and she had been out there since, and they moved in from San Diego.
Yeah. So
and
then
enter Maggie into the new school.
With the whole thing, and so now you get into the kids, right? Because the movie's sort of around the kids. A lot of horror movies go that way. It's always college age to high school age kids. A lot of them, but so you have the kids, and they're trying to pretty much get booze. They're trying to find an adult who will give them some alcohol. And
they invite Maggie in, and it almost seemed like a cryptic message, almost how they were all in the crew together in high school, the parents, and then Maggie. They didn't know who she was at the time, and I don't think it ever showed that they correlated who she was in relation to their parents, but she seemed to fit right in.
Yeah, and another thing, like, falls into her lap. Like, they came to her. She didn't come to them.
So this was the perfect recipe.
And then they pushed her, too. I mean, she was like, no, shut them down. And then at that time. And maybe she saw, because that was Ben's son. Remember, she had sort of a crush on him. Or I don't know
yeah.
I don't know if she was playing a character or she was actually had a crush on him, but maybe she saw some of Ben in his son, sorry.
Certainly.
And that's when it clicked with her. Like, who this might be. Because, by the way, if you ever go on Facebook, like, she would type in, like, someone's name, and their whole thing would pop up, like, first person. I'm like, man, I've got friends I typed in their entire name, and I can't find them.
I've seen Facebook.
She's got to be the best Facebook detective ever.
Yeah, I've seen Facebook detectives. She needs to be on CSI.
Man.
With her Facebook detective
She would,
skills.
like, type in Ben, and, like, boom.
The whole thing came up.
Yeah.
We know that was an effect for the movie.
Yeah.
It was just interesting how she pieced it together. It was like she went and got a bag of ingredients already mixed together from the store and just put it in the crock pot and slow cooked it. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? With the way that came together. And it was really, it was kind of sadistic, but it was still masterful how she pulled it off. Because then she eventually buys them booze, then she gives them this like false sense of security. Mm-hmm. Because she's like, well, my parents have told me this. If you're going to drink, do it in front of me.
Yeah.
So let's do it in the safety of my home, and she pretty much like lulled them to sleep.
Yeah, and like that's the thing is, did she get pushy too fast? Obviously, in the story, she did. She got pushy too fast, and the kids started to realize. Remember, I mean, first night, she made the one kid strip with a gun. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, boom, right off the bat. At least one of the kids is going to be like, now that don't seem normal. You
I
know
think that was Maggie.
Right. That was the whole time. It was Maggie.
But they forgave her because think about it. You're a kid with a place to drink. Mm-hmm. We'll forgive you, Matt. We'll forgive you, Ma.
Right.
You know,
and I think that's what it was to Maggie was she didn't care as much about drinking as the rest. So that to her, it didn't mean as much.
She did it to play the scene.
Right.
So she didn't really need that.
And then, of course, others started to get on board when they went upstairs, and her friend try to use the restroom, and then she gets sort of aggressive with them, and they hear the yelling, the knocking upstairs. Yeah. And that's when the rest of the crew starts to realize,
maybe we shouldn't be around.
Maybe something.
And then she started harassing him on the phone. She started sending all those messages,
videos, all kinds of stuff, like unlimited text messages. It was crazy.
Yeah. Then she pulled their heartstrings with the fake cancer diagnosis.
Right. So that's what didn't last long either, because that was another thing, sort of like her trying to play this like caring person was like she'd instantly they'd see something else. So they saw the bracelet, they saw the stripping at gunpoint. Like instantly, every move she made was instantly undone by something one of the kids noticed. Yeah. And so like none of her huge like tactics, like over the top tactics, ever really worked. Because of that.
I want to point out something. It was the first thing I noticed as far as cinematic value, right? So to me, the shots were, I love the shots. There's a lot of close-ups. It was trying to draw you in, so that worked. Mm-hmm. And of course, along with the storyline, because with our attention spans today, you need a good storyline to keep people going. If it's not because it wasn't a action-packed film,
right?
But the first one I noticed that really caught my attention was when she told him about the cancer, and something about that shot. When it was a close-up on her and they was in a black background, kind of blurred out, that really drew me in because I was like, it's about to go down right now.
Yeah, so we're going to get into our ViewMaster picks. We'll give it how many views we'd give it in a second. But because of these reasons, like I said, the acting, I give, what's her name, Octavia Spencer, I believe the Ma's name is.
She plays Sue Ann, yeah.
Yeah, and then she was great. A lot of great acting. I give the acting, 8, 9, 10 out of stars, or out of views. But, and then the cinematic shots, like I said, great cinematic shots, 7, 8 views. But the storyline, again, we'll get back to the storyline, and I think that's really good, what brings it down for me is because, by the way, it would have, if it weren't for the fact the way she was treating her daughter, which was a total, if you ever read the story of Gypsy Rose, a lot of people will know who she is. It's a total ripoff of that, and maybe it's kind of a, you want to steal some stories, but it was literally the exact story of Gypsy Rose, and that's the only reason you don't, because at the end you kind of want to see Ma live. Like she's been wrong this whole time. But because of the way she's treating her daughter, like. That's why you're okay to see her go. Because honestly, I'd love to see Octavia Spencer in another Ma movie, like a second Ma movie. Like I think she could carry that, to another movie. I think
based on the ending, there may be room for that, because we don't know what happened,
right?
And it doesn't seem like, without trying to tell it doesn't seem like what she had to endure at the end of the movie affected her physically that much because of the way she got up the stairs.
So to this point, we saw nothing like supernatural. So if she survived that fire, then it would become an entire new. It would bring a whole new, genre to this movie, like already to this horror.
Yeah, maybe so.
But which would be interesting. That's fine. But so just because of the way her daughter was being treated, you're not as connected to her, as you would have been as you'd been. And I think that's where this movie went wrong, was they never emotionally connected you. There was a mom working for the casinos and a daughter going out with her friends, and they never connected, they never built that connection. They never really built the connection with the boy and her girl, the Maggie and her boyfriend. They never built the connection with, like I said, and mostly because every time Ma tried to build a connection with something like the cancer or she'd do something else over the top that would instantly ruin it.
Yeah.
And I feel like that at the end of the day, you were never connected. I never was scared, right?
Right.
Like it was not a scary movie at all, as horror movies go.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Because of that, I'm gonna give it 6 out of 10 views. How do you feel though?
Well,
I still think people should go see it. I'm not gonna say don't go see it, but I give it a 6 out of 10 views.
I'd say definitely go see it. I had it at an 8 out of 10 views, but I mean, the only reason I'm going to retract that, maybe give it a 6.5, is because if I'm on the Academy Awards or whatever governing body gives out awards, and I'm comparing it to some other movies, right, that came out this year, like Us,
right,
or Glass.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I'm not letting Ma beat them.
No.
You know what I mean? Because it was a really common story. It was well told, I thought. I really liked how they did it. I really liked the simplicity of the cinematics, with the shots they chose and the part where she told them about the cancer, and they had that one shot where they closed up on her and had them blurred out in the back, and then her coming out of the basement when it was on fire. I loved it.
Yeah, it was great shot.
It was
great acting.
You know what I mean? Maybe even a little better than that. But just because it's not a real original storyline, I'm going to give it a 6.5 because I just can't put it above some of the other films I've seen this year.
And you know what I mean? And to harbor that kind of violence all those years, you know what I mean? Like, and then to snap, like, it was, I don't know, it was hard to see, like, why she would snap over something like that.
I mean, it's a thing,
but at the
though.
same time, like, that was beyond bullying. It's great, a good movie. Definitely go see.
Yes, sir.
We're gonna get into our classic,
Good Will Hunting.
Yeah. I'm excited about this one too. It was, had you seen it before this?
No, I haven't. I hadn't seen it before we looked at it.
So I'd seen it before one time when I was younger, but not from a filmmaker's perspective or a film critic. And it really opened my eyes this time to, to how they did it, like, and it was well shot.
And it was a fairly long movie, so the script, the storyline had to be important, and the emphasis they put on certain thick characteristics about Matt Damon's character, about Will Hunting. That was his name.
Yeah.
I thought they were hunting Will when I first heard about the movie, but it's actually Will Hunting. And it's an interesting story, and I was telling somebody before that his life is like, it's kind of mirrors my life, just replaced the military with his educational endeavors. You know what I mean? As far as some of the, I can relate to some of the emotional value.
Yeah, so that's the thing is, like, as compared to Ma, and like this one, you're rooting for characters throughout the show, like, right, like, because in Ma, I didn't find a character that I was just pulling for. In this one, you're pulling for, like, when he makes bad decisions, you're like, oh man, like, you feel it, like, you get, and so that's why
it's like, no, don't do it, not you, not this, not again, right?
It's like, and then you start to check, like, how much time's left, because it's like, all right, he's got to make a good decision at some point, like, this movie's almost coming to an end.
Yeah.
But it was great. Robin Williams, getting him on board is always huge.
Rest in peace, Robin Williams. He was beautiful. He played a beautiful role.
Right, and so
I thought he and Matt Damon, they meshed well. It looked real.
Right.
Like, I felt every minute of it. I never looked at it not one time during the film and thought they were acting.
And even with Robin Williams, I was like, you're kind of rooting for him too, because like at the beginning, I don't want him to show any weakness. At the beginning, like when he was like, "Oh, you married the wrong lady," and he's like, and then all of a sudden he snaps. He loses it. He's like, "Don't say it again," And I was like, "Oh man, don't lose it," because once you lose control, it's hard. But at the same time, like, actually, that was what endeavored him to this kid, is he saw, like, I have mistakes, you have flaws, we both, you know what I mean?
Because he judged him at first,
right?
And they had that scene where they were sitting down. He was telling them, pretty much, he gave him his long soliloquy, but he was telling him, "You can't judge me. You haven't lived enough, to judge me. You're 19."
Right, and so that was what. Like I said, you're rooting for all these characters, different things. And I loved that they wrapped up that second story inside the story, right? So you see Robin Williams and his friend, that the professor, the MIT professor. At the end of the movie, they even wrapped up their story. And I totally forgot about it, but I'm glad they came back to that, And you see how it correlated with these kids, with Affleck and Matt Damon stories. Because you have Matt Damon and Ben Affleck, and one of them is a prodigy, and the other one's like, I work at the local construction site, whatever. And he's like, I want to see you go places. And that was the thing, is like these two with the MIT professor and I can't remember his name right now. And then Robin Williams, same thing. He's like, you stayed here for a girl and you never went anywhere and you blah, blah, blah. And he holds it against him. And it's good to see their friendship come back together. The same way Ben Affleck's and Matt Damon's characters came together by actually going apart. Like, because Ben Affleck was saying, I hope one day that I come here and you're not here anymore.
Yeah, I thought that part was dope.
Right, and so it was good to see, like, that relationships, they and like I said, they don't always have to work out. I'm just glad they wrapped it up. It could have been a bad ending, but they came back to it. They didn't
closure.
Neglect part of the story, right? And I really like that.
I thought it was interesting that Robin Williams stayed for a girl, and Matt Damon left for a girl.
Yeah,
I thought that was an interesting.
Pretty much at the end of the movie,
duality.
Right. Pretty much the movie. You know, all of our smart people going after. You know, you have to make decisions. Like, you know, but it is a critic show. If you could take one thing from the show that you thought should not, or the movie that you shot. What am I trying to say? That shouldn't have been in it, or that you thought.
There's one thing I would have changed. It's a small thing, but I thought it may have made a difference. I would have the scene at the end when Chucky, Ben Affleck's character, went to the door to get Will and he wasn't there. I would have made that a little more dramatic.
Okay.
Yeah, I thought maybe it's a different music bed or something like that.
Yeah.
Just to like bring more attention to that character, because like I feel like I thought he would have been more a good mix of happy and sad, and he just looked kind of confused, and then walked back to the car. Well, I mean, but it was still good.
Right.
But that's like just the one thing that I would
confused. Like
the way it was weird. But that way I would have changed that. That's probably it. The rest of it I actually I loved. I wouldn't let him leave the girl. I don't know.
How many
views? My feelings.
How many views do you give it out of 10?
I'm gonna give it a 9, man.
Okay, that's a really good. And I'm gonna. So same here. I feel like, like the writing was great, all that stuff, and it was actually like real conversation, right? It didn't sound like movie scripted lines. It sounded like stuff friends would say to each other.
It was. They're all most of the three of the main characters, right? Will, Chucky, and Robin Williams' character. They were all actually from Boston. And the setting was in Boston, so it was perfect for them to.
Yeah, and a lot of these guys were friends in real life too. So it just made it even better. But the writing sounded like actual conversation pieces, you know. But the only thing, I'm gonna give it 10 out of 10 views. Oh, and the only thing I would take away is I was really surprised that remember when Robin Williams says, you know, this guy was Ted Kaczynski, and then the MIT professor is like, who's that? How does the MIT professor not know who the Unabomber is? Like, that kind of blew my mind. But I get it. Maybe they wanted to say who it was in the movie or something. Honestly, other than that, though, I thought, like I said, the filming, the scripts, the acting, it was great. I'm going to give it 10 out of 10 views. Of course, don't always take our what we say for it. You know,
go watch it yourself.
Yeah, watch it for yourself. And then also, we're going to go on the streets, check out our man on the streets, see what other people are saying about these two movies. Good Will Hunting, 10 out of 10, 9 out of 10. And Ma, 6 out of 10, and
6.5 out of 10.
6.5 out of 10. Thanks for checking out ViewMasters again.